the experience was really interesting, so much so that I wanted to write about it. So this new play is called Layla in Lala, and it deals with this Muslim woman, Layla, who wears the hijab like me, and she's a writer and she's trying to get television work. And it really deals with the racism of Hollywood. And um, the reason I wrote it was because a lot of the TV shows and films till this day still have those same stereotypical Muslim characters, and sometimes the only characters we're allowed to have is either the terrorist or the grocery store owner, the convenience store owner, or the taxi driver, and we want more. Recently, there was a new show on Hulu called Rami. It's groundbreaking. It's about a regular Muslim guy trying to navigate his faith and being American, and it's wonderful. Um, so we're so excited about that happening. But at the same time, a lot of studios will say no to other Muslim writers because of Rami. They'll say, well, we already have Rami. And it's problematic because you could have a billion different shows about the white experience. And yet with minorities, it's like, well, you've got one and that's all you can have, which is so problematic. And something that we're all, as the Muslim community, South Asian community, Middle Eastern community, are all working hard in Hollywood to try to change that. So my play, my new play deals with that. And then I wrote another new play that deals with three Muslim best friends who are navigating their late 20s. It deals with marriage and divorce and career ups and downs and racism. And so that's a brand new play. And that was commissioned by a consortium of 10 Christian universities who pooled money together and said, we're going to commission playwrights from the three Abrahamic faiths. So they commissioned a Christian playwright. Then they commissioned me as the Muslim playwright. And then next year, they're going to do a search and commission a Jewish playwright. And the goal was to create plays about the Abrahamic faith. So I wrote this new play about three best friends, and it's just about normal, regular Muslim women trying to live their lives. We've already had a reading with the university, and because of COVID, we can't do productions yet. So I'm just waiting for this pandemic to end, and then hopefully we'll be able to get those up on stage. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Great. I really enjoyed this, Rohina, and I'm so proud of you that you are as a Muslim. And I really liked your plays. And can you check the chat box, please? There is a lot of comments for you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, this is so wonderful. Wow. Thank you, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. So I was just wondering, like, do you believe it's harder to find a job in America due to being Muslim? Because you guys have to pray. Like, how does that go about, like, when you get a job, since you guys do pray, like, multiple times a day?
It depends on, first of all, there's a lot of Muslims. It depends on their level of religiosity. Some Muslims don't pray, they're not practicing. They might identify as Muslim, but they're completely not practicing. So the whole praying thing doesn't affect them. For others who are practicing, sometimes a lot of employers accommodate, or they just do the afternoon prayer on their lunch break. And if they're in a big city, there's tons of mosques in cities that they could go to. So my sister, when she was downtown, she would just go to the downtown mosque. It was just like blocks away from her university. So there are ways, and it isn't that difficult, but sometimes it is. And sometimes Muslims face situations where they can't pray at work and it's impossible. They might either leave that and find something else because prayer is so important to them, or they just make it up when they get home, which isn't ideal, but people find their ways to cope and figure out life. For me, I am a freelance writer, so I don't do a 9 to 5. When I did do a 9 to 5, sometimes it was hard just finding a room, a private room where I could just quickly do my prayer, because it doesn't take long. It takes a couple of minutes, but there's movement. And so if the door doesn't have a lock and somebody walks in on you, it looks like you're doing yoga, and it could be very embarrassing. So a lot of artists, like writers like me, have created really funny like web series, like showing the trials of being a practicing Muslim and working, and it's really funny. But I think a lot of times people figure it out. You just figure it out as a Muslim, and it's not that big of a deal. When there is discrimination, I have heard of cases where people have to get a lawyer and fight for against discrimination cases. So that can come up sometimes, but not always. And yeah, you just navigate. Even for me, if I am working at a theater for a week and I need space, I've learned it's better to just be honest and to say, hey, I pray 5 times a day and I'm going to have my afternoon prayer and I just need a room. Can you provide me with some space? And theaters have been so accommodating, so it's been really wonderful.
Thank you.
No
Thank
worries.
you
Thanks
for
for your
that
question.
question. Also, there is a question from Brenda.
Okay.
It's were the characters based of anyone you know or meet?
It was like, as I was writing, it was fiction, and yet I was thinking in my life of like research that I did on post 9/11 hate crime, and my imagination as a dramatist, and then people that I have known in my life experience that helped me create those 5 characters. So it was a real mix between fiction and nonfiction. There were hate crimes after 9/11. People died, innocent people died. Some of them were Muslim, some of them were mistaken for Muslim. And that was really scary. One of the characters, Inez, in the 3rd story, she talks about the Sikh man in Arizona. And he was important because he was the first person murdered after the 9/11 backlash. He was a Sikh from the Sikh religion from India, not a Muslim, but mistaken for Muslim. Why? Because he wore a turban and had a beard. And Sikhs, as a part of their faith, the men wear turbans and have beards. And he was mistaken for Muslim and murdered. And he was murdered by a man who was boasting that he was going to do what others didn't have the nerve to do. And he killed Balbir. His name was Balbir Singh Sodhi. And that happened in Arizona. And it was really awful. I actually, a few years later, performed Unveiled in Arizona, and Balbir Singh Sodhi's brother was in the audience. So he watched me and he spoke to me after the show and said, after my brother died, I realized the importance of interfaith dialogue. And now he has become a leader in interfaith dialogue in the Arizona community. And it's really great to see like his whole life change. And he realized if we don't tell people who we are, it can really cost us our lives. So he is now working in interfaith, and I work in interfaith too. I have an interfaith play that I tour all over the country with a Jewish and Christian woman. They're both theater artists. Kim Schultz is Christian, Susan Stone is Jewish, and I'm Muslim. And the 3 of us created this play together called Sisters of Story. And we tour it all over the country, where we tell 3 stories each, 3 from the Christian tradition, 3 Jewish, 3 Muslim, and they're personal stories. And we do the show at churches, synagogues, mosques, universities, high schools, all over. And it's been really effective because people have a chance to ask a question to somebody that about their faith, and in a very safe environment. And so that's been really great. Any more questions?
Great.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much. It's been. I just wanted to say that it's been my 2nd or 3rd time watching your performance, and every time, it's amazing and it's great, and I learned so much. And I guess I just wanted to add to what you said about the man in Arizona that was killed. I attended once an event organized by the local Candles Holocaust Museum here in Terre Haute, and they invited also a man from Bangladesh that was also a victim of a hate crime right after 9/11, and he by lucky miracle he survived, although he was shot in his head. And what happened was that uh, that man, after all that he went through, he forgave the man who shot him, and he was actually fighting for him to escape the death penalty. And he was the one who was writing to all the courts to ask for forgiveness for this man, and he actually forgave the man, and they were always pal pen friends, so they were in contact all the time. And actually at the end of his days, the man in prison, he apologized multiple times the to the man who he almost killed. And but it was just incredible how this man was willing to forgive and also fight for the life of the person that was aiming to hurt him and actually did hurt him. And so I was wondering, like, if you probably also have the same message of forgiveness as this man was trying to convey, where his family, actually all his family turned their back to him just because they did not realize, or they could not understand why he forgave the man who shot him.
I have heard that story, and it's amazing. And it's just such an example to, I think, all of us of radical forgiveness and radical compassion. And I absolutely feel the same way, because a lot of time folks who do these hate crimes, they do it from a place of ignorance, where they fear somebody that they shouldn't fear. That's just another human being, but in their eyes, they see the boogeyman, they see a monster. And I feel like, going back to Hollywood, it plays a role in that stereotype that has been churned out by Hollywood decade after decade after decade. If you just study the Muslim representation and Arab representation in film and TV shows, it's dreadful. And I think it contributes, especially when somebody comes from a community where they don't know Muslims. And the only way they know them is from what they see on TV shows or movies. And it's always negative. Then that creates an atmosphere for fear to thrive and hate to thrive. But I absolutely am moved by that Bangladeshi man. And when I heard his story, I was just moved to tears, and really feel like, as a Muslim, that is the message of my religion, is to be forgiving, not to hold a grudge, not to be an eye for an eye, but to be full of mercy and love. We as Muslims believe those who do not show mercy will not be shown mercy by God on the Day of Judgment. That's a belief of ours. So there's this whole message in my faith of show mercy, show forgiveness, because we're human and we make mistakes. So thank you for sharing that story. For those who don't know, just Google the Bangladeshi man hate crime after 9/11. You'll see his story online. And there's some on YouTube, you can find interviews with him. And it's truly amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I have a question, Rohina.
Yeah.
So who work with you? Do you have a team for doing this plays and writing the plays?
Yeah, when I wrote it on my own, but then when you get to the theater to get a production, you usually have a producer. So I did a reading of it and invited everybody that I could invite. And in the audience was Anne Filmer, who is a woman from the 16th Street Theater. So she produces plays, and she is also a director, and she loved Unveiled. And she said to me, I want to produce your play and bring it to my theater and have like a 1-month run. And so then when she came on board, she helped me, because she's directing me now. So she would say, sit here, move here, do this, because then we had a whole stage and costumes and lights, and then the script would change because she would be seeing what I'd bring in every day, and then she'd give me feedback. So we worked as a team, and it was really great. I also, when I was writing the play, one day decided to have actors read it so that because I'm the playwright and performer, I could hear the play just as a playwright and listen to it with other actors reading all those roles. So that was helpful. And then Anne helped me with just getting the script ready for production, helped me with the acting, helped me with directing me as an actor. And we just, because I'd become so many people in the play, we would drill it. And the rehearsal process was really interesting. And we just had to keep doing all the dialects and the accents and all the things that I have to do in this show. We do it again and again and again and again. And that's how you really get it in your bones. So Anne was a big collaborator for me. And then after that production, I went on and did many productions all over the country, and I met a lot of musicians. And so sometimes it would be me and an oud player. Oud is a beautiful Middle Eastern instrument. Sometimes it would be me and a flautist, or somebody who plays the nai, which is a Middle Eastern flute. And sometimes I would have no musician. It would just be me on stage with a clip-on mic. So it depended on where I was doing the show. If I could bring a live musician, I love doing the show with a live music, especially music from the Muslim world. So either a South Asian or Middle Eastern artist. So there's been a lot of collaboration, really, and it's been really fun. When COVID happened, all of a sudden I was unable to now, obviously, because of the pandemic, I could not go to schools and be around people and do the show live. And for years, people had been saying to me, Rohina, you should have this play filmed, do a film version. And I just never had time. But thanks to the pandemic, I said, you know what? I still need to get this message out, and a film would be the best solution. So I was quarantining with my mom and my sister as well. My sister's a filmmaker, so her name is Sabina Schmidt, and you'll see her on the credits. I said to Sabina, I need you to film this and edit it and add music, and I'll bring all my costumes and we'll do it at mom's condo. So I went to my mom's condo and I brought all my costumes, and we had this amazing day together, me and my sister, where she filmed me and I did the whole play and she edited it and added the music. And it's been really amazing seeing it as a film. And because of the pandemic, a lot of institutions, whether they're universities or high schools or theaters, have been hosting the play as a film. And it lives on, and the message lives on, and the conversation lives on. So even though we're having the pandemic, thanks to Zoom and Skype, I'm still able to share the story, the play, in a film version. And I'm also available, thanks to Zoom, to have a conversation afterwards and answer anyone's question. So as artists, we always have to think outside the box when things like a pandemic happen. Like, you can't let it stop your art. You have to think outside the box. You think, okay, how can I keep making art? How can I keep my message alive? So thanks to film and Zoom and the virtual world that we're now so accustomed to, we found a way to continue. So that's been one of the blessings that came out of this for me as an artist, was making the film and having that time with my sister. It was really special, and just a chance for her to highlight her talent as a filmmaker and my abilities as a theater artist, and to bring those two together and collaborate was really exciting. And I want to collaborate more with my sister. And depending on how long this pandemic ends, how long we're in this pandemic, I'm going to have to think of more things to collaborate with her, because we see each other all the time. So it's really great. So that was one of the cool things that came out of this crazy time, was the fact that Unveiled became a film. Any other questions?
Thank you, Rohina. And from the show, I realized that you are really like the tea. So which was your favorite flowers of tea?
Well, I'm drinking the Moroccan mint right now. I love the mint tea. It's my favorite. I drink it every night. I also love the chai. Um, Chocolate chai, not so much. I did that
Mhm,
for the play just because it's beautiful and I like the imagery of the chocolate. But I think I'm a big chai drinker. I'm Pakistani, and that's just a big part of our
yeah.
culture. It doesn't matter what the occasion is. If it's a happy occasion, it's like chai. If it's sad, it's like chai. If we're devastated, we need chai. So it doesn't matter what your emotion is, we need chai. So chai is a big part of our home. And it was really fun for me to have this opportunity to frame each of the monologues with tea.
Mhm,
And then when we had the production at 16th Street Theater, Anne contacted a Todd and Holland tea company and asked them to provide the teas in my play. So we had 4 of the 5 drinks served at the theater.
mhm.
Audiences would drink them before the show, and then when the show ended, we'd invite them to take more tea and come back for discussion. And so there was a metaphor for me because I feel like the way tea brings people together, theater brings people together. And to have both tea and theater together at the theater was really special and beautiful. And it meant a lot to me. And it was beautiful for me to write about all these teas from the Muslim world. The Kashmiri chai is important because
Mhm.
some of my family, my aunt married a Kashmiri man, so my cousins are half Kashmiri, and they make this amazing pink tea, and it's so beautiful. And it takes hours to make, and they would sometimes make it and bring it over to my house, and my mom and dad would have pink tea, and it's beautiful. And I knew that one of the characters would be talking about the pink Kashmiri chai. And I've been to Morocco for study abroad, so I knew I wanted to include Morocco because I went there and I had that amazing mint tea, and it's addictive. It's so good. And then of course the chai is from my culture, so I wanted to mention chai and the doodh patti, and that drink is from my culture, and I wanted to highlight that. And there's also the sage tea, the Shaib al Maramiya,
Mm,
which is from the Middle East. It's very Palestinian. It's in Syria. I'd have it at my neighbor's house. She makes it a lot. She's Palestinian, and it's delicious. I love it. And so I thought that would be nice in the play too. And then I wanted one coffee. Inez talks about the qahwa sada, which is the coffee which is just bitter and served at funerals because the taste reminds you of death. It's sada. It's like there's no sugar, there's no milk. It's just this
yeah.
bitter, dark drink that reminds you of death. So I like the metaphor of that. And so I wanted to include that in the play too.
Great, thank you. We share the same culture. Like I'm Saudi, and my family are originally from India. So I know the people from India, they love the chai and tea with milk, and they cooking the tea with milk. Like it's need a lot of flavor. They put like cardamom and a lot of spices
Yep.
to make it. So yeah.
And we cook it. We actually cook it on the stove with milk and water. It's cooked and it's
Yeah.
really strong. So don't drink it at night or you'll never sleep. But yeah, it's beautiful. And that's just, it was great to highlight the beauty of all these
Yeah,
cultures from the Muslim world. I was really excited about that.
yeah, that's right. Mama Marta, you join us.
Hi, Rohina. I don't know if you remember me, Martha Reed, but
Hi.
I wanted to show you what I still have.
Oh, I'm so
This
glad.
is
And you have all the tea
this is a
recipes in there.
yes. I forgot to take it to work today, but I'm going to take it to see. Do you still have this book available for sale?
I actually don't. I
Oh,
just I could always reprint. I just haven't in a while. Used to take them with me to my performances and sold them all. But I'm going to put it on my to-do list.
okay. Well, I want to tell you, you made a lasting effect on my grandgirls. They're both of them, one's gone to college now and one's on the way, but they still talk about Rohina and her performance and the different teas. So
Yeah.
your, everything still carries on now 4 years later. And I just wanted to say thank you and for coming again to
Mm,
Indiana State.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's been such a joy. And this play has been a part of my life since 2009. I had my production in 2009. It's been such a long time, but You know, I have been everywhere with this play over the United States and Canada and Switzerland, which has been amazing. It even went to South Africa with another South African actress asked my permission to do the play in South Africa. And so it's really had a big reach. And I can't tell you how meaningful this work has been for me to perform the play and then afterwards have a discussion. I've been to communities where people don't know Muslims and they were fearful and they were scared and they were even nervous to come and see my play. But the beauty of theater is that it invites you in. You can let your guard down. You can judge whatever you want to judge on stage. All I wanted when I wrote this play was to be heard. I was really tired of the negative stereotypes and feeling like my community is always demonized. And we rarely hear from people who are actually Muslim. So it was a really great way with the play to just reach people and then have a discussion afterwards. And people sometimes felt safe to raise their hands and ask me a question. And I've been answering questions for over 10 years now about Islam and even difficult things that come up with the extremist groups like ISIS and Al Qaeda. And I'm glad those things come up because I want to have an opportunity to say they are extremists. They do not represent me or my faith. They are not the majority. And most of their victims are Muslims. They are people that don't value human life. They're extremists. And extremists from any faith are dangerous. That was really important because if people don't hear that, then they think all kinds of things about me. Maybe they think in their mind, maybe is she an extremist? Is that what her religion teaches? So for me to be able to say, to kill another human life is punishable with hellfire. That's what we believe. And a lot of people don't know that. So just to hear it from someone like me who lives this faith was important. So I just feel like it's been quite a journey the last 10 years, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I had such an amazing time when I was at your university. It's great to see you again and give my love to your family.
Rohina, you know, you're the last person to actually be a guest in the housing that we had, the off-campus house.
Oh,
They
wow.
After that, it was if no one else. They don't even
Wow.
offer anymore. So you have a dynasty now. So you can say I was the last person to stay. I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going. Okay, I have one thing before Duar kicks me out.
Yeah.
The Education Foundation does these films and they try to point out things. Have you ever viewed Arabs Beyond Real? REEL.
No.
Watch that.
Okay.
We showed that a couple of years ago, and there's a display, a traveling display, and it was so radical. We had usually our Saudi and our Indian students, they were so against it that we had to have meetings beforehand so they could be present and clarify everything you see in that movie.
Wow. So it's showing you all the negative stereotypes.
It shows you how Muslims are Arabs and Arabs are Muslims. Everybody, it's just a global culture and how they're depicted in film. And it brings me back to when you went to Hollywood. So I would love for you to bring that to iState.
Oh, great. I will. I absolutely will. And we're doing a Zoom reading this week, in fact, of it. So maybe we could bring actors and just do it on Zoom so that people can hear this play.
Yes.
But, I'll talk to Duan. We'll see if we can figure something out maybe for the fall.
Yes. Yes.
That would be amazing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yeah, I got many comments. They asked me about the video and the show. So I told them I have to get the permission from you first. So if there anyone want to get this video, do they have to contact with you?
Yes, they do,
Okay.
because I don't just put it out there. But you can give them my email.
Yeah, I will.
So, any more questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Before everybody runs away, do you ever plan like extending the stories, like expanding?
No, only because, I've been performing Unveiled for over the last 10 years, and I'm working on so many new plays now, and I've written a TV pilot, and I'm trying to break into television. So I'm just so busy with new projects that I've left Unveiled with the 5 women, and I've decided not to extend it or add stories. But if there is new things, I try to put it in new works, new plays. And but I've left this play for now as is.
Thank you, Lily.
Any more questions?
Check. So I think this is the end. So I want to thank you, Rohina, for being our guest speaker. We are truly grateful to you for sharing your valuable time and tints with us. So, and I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. I
And
really enjoyed.
thank you for contacting me. Thank you for hosting me again at this wonderful university. And hopefully, God willing, inshallah, we will collaborate again in the future. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Ia and Mama Marta, they couldn't stop talking about you.
Oh,
they,
thank you so much. Thank you for the
they recommended.
recommendation. It means so much to me. Thank you. This has been such an amazing evening. Thank you to everyone for joining us and sharing your evening with us and watching the film. It absolutely means so much. I have a website. It has a contact me. If anyone has questions or anything about my other plays, please reach out. And thank you, Dua. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good
Please
night.
stay well and safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys again. Take care.
You
Thank
too.
you.
We'll be back. Don't worry.
Yes, I'll be back. We'll do more. We'll do more collaborations.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Take care. Bye. Good night.